Lucas here. Hey, today I've got an interesting lathe. It's actually quite a rare lathe. It's a Colchester. It's a variable speed, a 12-inch variable speed. It went by a couple of different names, one of which was the Colt. So this one's a Colt or a 12 VS. It's also rare because it's got the long bed. It's got an extra long bed on it, very nice. And it runs great. The thing is really running nicely. It's got an electric clutch on it, and that's actuated by the lever here on the apron. We've got a quick change tool post on it, and we've got coolant on it. We'll talk about that in a little bit. It's got a 2 horsepower, 3-phase motor. The motor's running really strong. It's very quiet. Everything's working nicely in the drive system. We've got a nice suite of controls here. And we'll talk about that, but we've got a high-low range on the spindle, essentially a back gear and a straight-ahead gear. And we've got 2 directions for the feed for cutting left-hand threads. And we've got a nice, capable and versatile drive system that gives us a nice range of threads and carriage advance per rotation of the spindle and cross-slide advance per rotation of the spindle. And that's basically in this box here, this gearbox. So a couple things that are nice about this lathe, it's really got 2 reservoirs for oil, and both these gearboxes are running oil bath. That's great. It's got a really nice carriage with a very positive release. In fact, you can hear it there. That's the clutch engaging and disengaging. And it's got then one changes the when you pull this knob out, we'll get a close-up of this in a bit. When you pull this knob out, you end up with the carriage locked. It doesn't traverse, but the cross slide moves. When you push it in, the cross slide stays in position and the carriage traverses, moves in the Z direction on the lathe. So we're going to fire it up. We've got a 5C collet with a piece of hex stack in here and a drawbar. It's got a nice drawbar. So one really nice thing about the lathe is the ways are in just tremendously good shape. There's no nicks or dings on them. There's maybe one little nick right there, but other than that, they're just great. They're just in great shape. It's the original paint on the lathe, and some of it's come off in the paint. Our main power switch. Here's our motor forward and reverse. We've got an emergency stop, shuts everything off. So that's all nice, everything's working great. It's got an interlock on the door. There's 2 interlocks on it actually. If this door loosens up, and there are 2 thumb screws here that are used to take the door off. If the door loosens up, the whole system will, the electrical power will disengage. In fact, let's do that now. There, so that's just the action of that interlock. So that works. Nice safety feature. The other interlock that's on it is that you can't take this front panel off unless this is in the off position. And of course, that's giving you one more warning that you better disconnect the power before you open this up. Let's take a look at the gearing system here. I think I mentioned this front and back gear, forward, reverse, and then down here, kind of the pay dirt for the whole system. So if we take a look here, these are the various configurations of the gears in the outboard side of the out here, and all the gears are here. There's I know there's 2 extras down here. There's 2 gears right there. We got a 4-jaw chuck and a 3-jaw chuck too. The spindle is a D1-3 spindle. It's excellent. The spindle bore is in really good shape. There's no dings in it. Everything tightens up very nicely on the spindle. So here's our carriage. Everything's working great on this. So this is cool. If you're into millimeters, into the metric system, you can set this up right like that, and you've got 0. I believe it's 2. Yeah, it looks like it goes 0 to 5 millimeters on a rotation of the handle. So that's a 5 millimeter advance, 1 rotation. we switch it around, got a different scale, and here we're going 0 to now we've got 2/10 of an inch. So how does this do that? It's very, very cool the way this works. There's actually a planetary gear system in here, and you either engage it or disengage it depending on the position of this wheel, and therefore it maintains consistency. You're either in completely English units or completely metric units. And ditto for the compound. Here's it set up for millimeters. We give it a turn, and we're in. We're in millimeters now. We give it a turn, and we're in inches. It goes either way. We can move it this way all the way around. On the cross, there's actually a lock here too that locks the this indicator system in position. But if you disengage it, you can then turn this and then lock it down wherever you choose. So that's nice. You can always zero it out, and you can zero it out in millimeters or in inches. Very nice system. Works great. We've got a thread chasing dial. That's nice for threading. So that's all set up for that. Another cool thing about the lathe, it's actually got it's got 2 rods. This rod is used for traversing the carriage and driving the cross slide. It's used for nothing else. This rod is our rod that's used only for threading, and it's got a clutch on it, which is right here, so you can actually disengage that entirely from the system simply by pulling it out. I like to leave it out when I'm not threading. That way, you're not running the bearings on the far end of the support for the lead screw down there. You're not rotating the lead screw, so therefore your bearings have no friction, no wear on them. The other nice thing is that if for some reason you might inadvertently engage the half nuts when you intended to move the carriage, you don't have any consequence of it as long as that clutch is disengaged. So it's a nice safety feature. The operating lever, this guy, is a square lever, and it's hooked up to this handle. And this is the handle, and it engages the motor and engages, actually the motor runs as soon as it's on. This engages the clutch that provides the drive between the motor and the headstock. And here's the Outboard Geartrain. So here we've got we're in configuration L. It's got a 21 tooth gear here, 72 tooth gear here. This one's just in there as a being held. It's being stored here. So 21, 72, a 66, a 20, and an 80. Extremely smooth speed change. Everything works great on it. It's got a range in the high range of 400 to 2,500 RPM. So it's a very nice lathe. It works great. Let's show one other thing about the lathe that's very, very cool. It's got a very, very positive footprint. The system is off, and the spindle's off, and down to almost zero speed within a few rotations. We're at about over 900, at 1,000 RPM. Probably 5 or 6 rotations is all to get it to zero. Another cool thing about the machine, it's got what's called a Norton gearbox on it. So let's say we're feeding at a certain rate here. Here we're traversing at a certain rate, and we want to change the rate. We can do that, in which case we just slowed the feed down by a factor of about 2. Or we can go over there and speed the feed up. You can see how much faster the handle's rotating and the operating rod there is rotating. We can do this while the lathe is under power. So that's a neat feature. Let's talk a little bit about the tailstock. It's a Morse taper 3 tailstock. It works really nice. Here's our release. Slides nicely. It's got a lock here. It's graduated. The tailstock barrel is graduated. There's a lock for the advance on the tailstock. Everything is very positive. So that's all working extremely well. The tailstock is very nice. There's also a kind of a neat little feature to the Colchester lathes. There's some little cool things we're talking about here. It's got this little thing that keeps the tailstock from running off the end of the bed. The world turns on Colchester lathes, made in England. Very cool. So we've got a backsplash in the lathe, which is nice for anyone running coolant. The backsplash will keep the coolant in check. Return to the coolant reservoir there where the Scotch-Brite roll is, and that's the supply of coolant to the bottom of that tube for the distribution over the top of the tool to the workpiece. Got a micrometer stop for the carriage. This just clips over the top of the ways, the front way, like that. And the whole system attaches with this bronze nut here. And then it's tightened up with this, there's an Allen screw here that pulls that bronze nut up. This is all working great. Very nice. Very rigid, repeatable, solid. We've got a Chinese, it's Chinese, but it's a nice one. Quick change tool post. And it comes with 5 tool holders. So there'll be two straight holders for tools like this. There'll be a boring bar holder, a cutoff tool holder, and a knurling tool with an additional spot in it for another tool. Here's your knurling holder right there. It's got those 5. It's got a key for the 3-jaw chuck. We'll talk about that in a minute. I happen to like the Collet chucks. So use them whenever possible. And it's got a pretty rare beast. This is a steady rest, follow type steady rest. So this actually attaches right here to the cross slide. So it's called a follow rest, or a traveling steady is another term I've heard used for these machines. That's a nice feature. I should point out this is not an original Colchester steady rest, but it functions very nicely. It's been modified slightly to fit this lathe. One other tool holder I should mention is this guy. This is actually the original Colchester holder. That's going with it. Works nice. Just they're awkward to adjust. Most people would go with a quick change, but this is going to be included for the sake of completeness. We've got a bag of tools. There's several tools that are used for the maintenance of the lathe. They're all included in the bag here. It's a D1-3 with removable top pieces, reversible. It's nice and tight, doesn't seem to be any issue with it. Everything's great on that. I'm going to show it because I don't want to pick it up. It's an enormous 4-jaw chuck. That's this guy. It's also in good shape, no issues with it. One last thing. In order to get out this spindle nose adapter, you need to pop it out. Not that it's a big deal, but we've got a nose adapter removing tool here. Just slide it to replaces a boring bar. You just run it in, knock on the back side of that, and pops it right out. But just to get an idea of how quiet the motor and drive system would be, here we've got the motor running. The drive system's off right now. I'm going to engage that electric clutch right there. There's a mechanical lever on the apron, and that energizes that clutch. So I'm going to flip that on now. So everything's very quiet. It works really smoothly. I'm going to turn up the speed now on the Reeves drive. So right now it's at around 400 RPM, and I think I brought it up to around 2,000 RPM just a moment ago. This is the coolant pump and reservoir, and this can all be removed very easily. It's actually a pretty nice design. The pump can be taken off, the whole reservoir can be taken off without taking this splash guard off the back of the lathe. All you have to do is lift it up essentially and drop it down. Everything comes out real nice. It can be cleaned out. There's plenty of cable here. There. That's how quiet it is. There's a switch on the front of the cabinet for that. So let's show this cutting, making a cut. We've got some steel, just regular cold rolled here in the chuck. I don't ordinarily like to stop the cut that abruptly, and especially while the tool is engaged, but making an exception here just to show how deep the cut is. And we're progressing nicely. I'm going to fire this back up again. Now the surface finish is not going to be great on this, but we're going to take care of that now. Flipping this back the other direction. Got that. That's about 3 thousandths per revolution at this feed rate. And it's a really nice finish. It's just excellent. So one more thing, let's just show how the collet closer works. So a lot of times I put it in the back gear to provide a little friction, hold the spindle, and we take and rotate this. Draw the collet drawbar. It's very nice. It's got a thrust bearing right here. We can then take our collet out. Pops right out. Take out our workpiece. Get the nose protector out. We use the extractor bar. Got nothing fancy here. Now something else that's interesting about the lathe is it's got a short spindle. The distance between the front of the spindle and the outboard side is short, and that's actually an advantage for people that like to work gun stocks, or gun barrels I should say. It's actually an advantage for people that are gunsmiths that run barrels. Okay, dimensions on the lathe. Let's see, we got depth. I don't have the guard on, but the depth is roughly 32 inches. So 54 inches high, 60 minus 6, 54 inches high. And the width is about 72 inches, actually about 73. The distance between centers about 41 inches. Call it 40 inches between centers. So hey, with this great old Colchester VS12, aka the Colt, great machine, very rare, unusual. Somebody's gonna love this machine, I know. They're gonna have a great time with it. Hey, this is Lucas, signing off.